The morning it happened began like a scream inside the sky, violent, gray, and trembling with rain. Inside the lobby of the towering Harrington Plaza in New York City, where chandeliers glittered like frozen lightning, a woman named Marianne Foster pushed a cleaning cart across the marble floor as though dragging the weight of her entire life behind her. She was exhausted, heartbroken, and one overdue bill away from losing the tiny apartment she shared with her teenage son. But it was in this moment, while the world rushed past her without seeing her at all, that she noticed something no one else did. And this single, quiet moment, born from intuition, humility, and a sense that something was deeply wrong, would save a man she had never met nearly $500 million, and ultimately change both their lives forever. If you believe in unexpected miracles, second chances, and the power of simple kindness, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us bring more stories like this to life. Marianne had been working as a night shift cleaner for almost 8 years. She had survived a divorce, 2 layoffs, and the constant fear that life could collapse again at any moment. Yet she showed up every night, sweeping and wiping in silence, praying quietly that God would give her enough strength to keep going. On that particular stormy evening, she noticed a man she rarely saw at that hour, a tall, slightly disheveled figure standing at the edge of the lobby near the elevators. His expensive suit was wrinkled, his tie loosened, and his eyes carried the look of someone who had been awake far too long. His name, though she didn't know it yet, was Richard Carver, one of the wealthiest tech entrepreneurs in the entire country. Everyone in the building respected, feared, or admired Richard. They whispered about his success, his billion-dollar mergers, his iron personality, his genius. But tonight he did not look like a man made of steel. He looked like he was unraveling. Marianne slowed her cart, pretending to check the supplies, but her eyes drifted toward him. He wasn't pacing, and he wasn't waiting for the elevator. He was just staring at a sheet of paper in his hands with the same expression she once saw in her bathroom mirror when she realized she didn't have enough money to buy groceries for her son. A mixture of defeat and disbelief. She felt a knot tighten inside her chest. Something about the way he held that paper, the way his hand trembled almost imperceptibly, felt wrong. He eventually crumpled the paper into his coat pocket and walked toward the executive elevator that led to the top floors, where only authorized people could go. She watched him swipe his card twice, but the door didn't open. Instead of trying again or calling security, he simply turned and walked away, heading toward the exit as though he had suddenly changed his mind. Marianne didn't think about status, wealth, or the invisible line separating someone like her from someone like him. She only thought, this man is not okay. Her instincts, sharpened by years of noticing the smallest details, things other people ignored, placed a heavy tug on her heart. As she continued her shift, something kept gnawing at her. When she reached the 17th floor, the tug became a chill. The office was supposed to be empty, but the lights were on. Not the overhead ones, those flickered on automatically, but the desk lamps belonging to the financial analysis team, the people who managed Carver's investments, company valuations, mergers, and proposals. Papers were scattered across the long conference table as though someone had rushed through them moments earlier. But what froze her breath was the open laptop still running on the table, glowing in the dim room. She knew she shouldn't go near it. It wasn't her place. It wasn't her business. But then she saw a document on the screen with bold, highlighted text, urgent, final proposal submission, 11:59 p.m. tonight. The time displayed on the corner of the screen was 11:46 p.m. Her heart thumped hard. She didn't know how the corporate world worked, but she knew what deadlines meant. And she remembered the crumpled paper Richard had stared at downstairs, his expression, the elevator that wouldn't take him up, the way he turned and left. Something wasn't adding up. Marianne suddenly felt heat rush through her, panic mixed with purpose. She stepped closer to the screen and noticed something even more alarming. The proposal file had 2 versions listed. One was marked, revised, approved, while the other was marked, old draft, incorrect figures. The one open on the screen was the old, faulty one. A mistake like that, on a document involving massive investments and acquisitions, could destroy an entire company. She didn't know the numbers, she didn't understand the specifics, but she understood the consequences of human error. She had lived through the destruction caused by one forgotten payment, one missed letter, one misinterpreted notice. Something inside her snapped into clarity, he didn't know. And if he didn't know, everything he built could collapse tonight. Trembling, she backed away and hurried to find help. Most of the offices were empty, the finance team long gone. The only security guard on duty was making rounds on the far end of the building. She thought about calling out, but the ticking clock in her mind screamed louder. Without fully realizing what she was doing, she grabbed the phone on the conference table, the one reserved for internal calls only. She dialed the top-floor extension she had memorized through countless nights of cleaning. The phone rang once. Twice. She almost hung up. On the third ring, someone answered, tired, irritated. She managed to say that something was wrong with a document in the finance office. She didn't mention Richard. She didn't mention what she saw. She only said the truth, this is wrong, and someone needs to fix it right now. What happened next unfolded like a whirlwind she had no control over. Executives rushed back into the building. The correct file was found and submitted with barely 2 minutes to spare. And within minutes, the entire mood across the top floor shifted from panic to stunned relief. But Marianne didn't see any of that. She had returned quietly to her cleaning, wiping down desks as though nothing extraordinary had happened. She didn't want attention. She didn't want praise. She just wanted to finish her shift and maybe, hopefully, buy her son breakfast in the morning before he left for school. The following afternoon, while she slept in her small apartment, the story exploded across business networks. It was revealed that an error had nearly caused a catastrophic mistake in Richard Carver's company, one that would have cost him over $500 million in lost mergers, penalties, and market backlash. The near disaster had been prevented by an anonymous employee who noticed something felt wrong and alerted upper management. When Marianne returned to work that evening, everyone seemed to be buzzing about the mysterious savior. She didn't say a word. But someone had recognized her voice from the internal phone system. Only hours later, she was called upstairs, somewhere she had never been before, and led through glass doors into an office with panoramic views of the city lights. Richard himself stood there, the same tired man from the night before, except now he looked like he had slept deeply for the first time in months. He approached her with quiet gratitude. She expected anger, or suspicion, or disbelief. Instead, he simply thanked her with a sincerity that brought tears to her eyes. He told her she had saved not just his fortune, but the jobs of thousands of employees. He asked why she did it. She could only say she felt something was wrong. What happened next was beyond anything she imagined. He offered her a position far above her station, a role in internal operations oversight, where her sharp instincts and attention to detail could actually shape the company instead of being confined to cleaning its floors. He offered to support her son's education. And most of all, he reminded her that kindness, humility, and courage didn't belong to any one class or income level. They were gifts of the heart. The transformation of her life didn't happen overnight, but it happened with steady, miraculous grace. Marianne no longer lived in fear. She no longer felt invisible. She had been seen, valued, and uplifted, not because she was powerful, but because she cared. Her life had changed because she listened to a quiet voice inside her that told her something was wrong.